Hi guys, welcome once again to Benjamin Zulu Show. Remember to subscribe and like Benjamin Zulu KE on YouTube and also on Facebook, Benjamin Zulu. Today we have a very interesting topic, by the way. Why it is very dangerous to call your mother, to call your father for conflict resolution in your marriage. That is our discussion today.
And it's a very annoying topic. I'm already annoyed that we have to discuss such an obvious thing. But it has been the culture. You know that before, it was not individuals who married, it was families who married.
Yes.
Wedding invitations were written by Mr. and Mrs. in conjunction with the wedding committee, invites you to the wedding of their son and their daughter. So the two families would write an invitation to individuals about the wedding of their children. Let me take you back to history. Bramwell wouldn't go out there and tell the world, I'm getting married. Yeah. It was your father and mother and the other family coming together to invite the world that their children are getting married. You understand?
Yes.
And because it was the families that brought you together during conflict, who would solve the conflicts again? The families. Do you understand? So in ancient times, it was the families who brought couples together and who handled marital issues. Now, that arrangement came from, we could go all the way to show you the two dimensions of the African culture and the church. Both were working like that. The church and the African culture. Many times because children were very young, they could not handle the weight of issues of life. Many of them were under 20, just 20. Children are very young and they needed to be held hands. So the marriage those days was like sometimes between children, really. And the families had to be nursed, really nurtured until they could grow. All right. So it was coming from a culture of premature marriages. Remember, I told you why people were marrying young. Dreams were not valued. It was your family status that was valued. Yeah. You are not valued how you are going to achieve in life. It was valued whether you have children, whether you have a wife. It doesn't care whether you are poor, sleeping on the floor, dealing with the lice and cockroaches and bed bugs. That didn't count. As long as you have a woman, now you're a man. No wonder we are that world. Bramwell, I'll still be pissed off why we remain poor and we are not concerned. Bramwell, once you realize you're lagging behind for over 100 years, at least we should start asking what is not working in our method. Let me remind you that Singapore and Kenya are the same age.
Yeah. That is the irony.
They got independence same time, had the same resources to work with. How come they are ahead, we are behind? Some of these cultures, we destroyed personal potential just looking for marital status. I'll tell you many reasons where that came from. It was a patriarchal society. They were trying to, the women had no voice, and the men were, the values were so twisted. You understand? So poverty thrived because personal potential was diminished. All right. So the reason we used to invite families to solve conflicts is because it was families who got us married. And we were too young to handle things on our own. So in the past, that was a valid method. Today, it's not families that get married. We have come to an individual age where it is the person who gets married. In fact, it's them, me and Margaret, me and the Mary, who Brahma and Beatrice are inviting you to their wedding. You have seen that's the language nowadays. Yeah. Therefore, if you're marrying, and today's version is the most biblical one, because this man shall leave father and mother and cleave to. But there before it was families, the man was dragging the family and dragging the other family. No wonder it was not working. So today, because you marry individually, you're supposed to solve conflicts individually. Today, if you try to drag families, the following problems, demons shall follow you. You shall be haunted by the following demons.
Demon number one.
Lack of privacy, lack of respect for your partner. Once I report to my family how my wife is behaving, they will side with their son. It's natural. They know their son. They don't want their son to look like the bad one. So the most cases is that people will side with their own. And I'll tell them how she's behaving, how she's telling their people, So it become, they'll pull me to their side and she'll be pulled to her side. And even if we resolve and come back together, there are people already know how bad I am. My people know how bad she is, and they will never respect. They'll never respect her. So the one thing you lose right away is that if we visit her family, they know me, how bad I am. how I'm mistreating. There'll be a bad attitude in there. Even if people can put faces. That's the one problem you have to deal with. You want your partner to be protected so that they don't know their bad side. So the best way to solve conflicts is to use other people. But I'll tell you, the best people to choose to solve the conflicts are the two of you. As much as possible, deal with it. Sit with it there and confront it until you can deal with it. But if it is out of hand, involve another like peer. I always encourage peer couples. Okay, let's go to the next demon. So the first lack of respect from your in-laws to your partner. When they see them, they remember what you told them when last time you were fighting.
Okay, demon number 2.
And the demon number 2 is you will lack trust between the two of you. I know you tell your people about me. Brahma, how can I trust you seated there knowing that you went to badmouth or trash talk? You gave them material about me. You exposed, you removed my clothes to them. All right? Even if it was a genuine battle, as long as our marriage is not finished, the only time I'll update my family is even in case we are divorcing. I'll tell them brief, it couldn't work. We called it off. They'll try to come and I think the differences are too much. It's okay. As long as I'm together with my wife, I'm protecting her to the death.
Okay.
If you don't, she will have difficulty confiding in you, telling you what she's thinking, you telling her what you're thinking, because during conflict, that will be weapons. Those will be arsenals. Those will be used as materials to attack you. All right? For example, if many issues, couples fight about a man who I saw flirting with you, or a woman I saw flirting with me, those kind of things. And I wanted to know your response, whether you are handling that area well. Many couples conflict about that. They also conflict about how you said something that I didn't feel was sensitive, how you delayed to pay this, how you delayed. Many couples conflict around day-to-day issues. All right? If you go pour them out to your brother, you go pour them out to your sister, I don't trust you in future telling you what I'm really thinking, what I'm feeling. Because I might end up getting known. The other thing you lose is momentum as a team. Momentum means the harmony, the collaboration, the unity, the synergy of building one thing together. Now that I know you are being told by your people to be very careful with me, to hide money, not telling me what to think, will I also tell you, I will my money, my thoughts, and we will never build anything. Let me tell you something, Brahma. Couples who keep reporting each other to their in-laws don't build anything. Over the years, they drag, but me, I don't need details. I can tell you couples. I can see by the fruit and tell you the root is bitter. I can tell. When you keep on running back to your people to report, when we have a difficulty, it will come a time that between us, there's no energy, no juice. We are living together technically. We are living together, Another demon you have to deal with is division among your children. When you have children and you keep on reporting, children are forced to take sides, which is a very unfortunate place. Children are forced to take sides because they saw you conflicting. Their shosho, that is your mother-in-law, came here, or my mother came here and told this, and they saw this one coming. Eventually, you'll have to learn to talk. Children are the nearest people to vent. So that venting, if you disclose to your in-laws, there'll be temptation to disclose to your children. You bring the division from in-laws all the way to your house. There'll be a chasm between one side to this mom, one side to dad. This conflicts children, and eventually you start refusing them from going to my mother, from going to my in-laws because you don't trust them. I forbid them from going to your people because I don't trust them. To your these, that division comes on, it builds up over the years and becomes a chasm, another devil to deal with at home. The best way to solve conflicts then is to trust the two of you. And if it cannot be solved between the two of you, perhaps it's unsolvable.
Perhaps it is unsolvable. Now, Benjamin, the main reason as to why we keep on running to our parents and inviting them, calling them for conflict resolution in our marriages, because perhaps we think they are marriage counselors.
Very good, because they have been married for 20 years.
For 20 years, 50
30 years. Let me tell you, not everybody who has been in something long enough has become better. Some people don't learn. They just grow old. They don't grow up. They don't become wiser. Remember, they may be wiser in their own way, but the dynamics between the two of you, the fact that they are your parents, means that they will have conflict of interest. And it means that they may also not know the generation you are living in, the dynamics you're dealing with, the personalities you're dealing with. So sometimes I strongly recommend professionals, people who are third parties outside your lives, who have no interest, conflict of interest, or a friend who knows you guys, or a person who will not have any interest in whichever outcome. So even if your parents have been married for long, remember they are still your parents, and the knowledge you give them, they'll live with it for life.
All right. They live with it for life. There's a place you mentioned that if we want to come up with conflict resolution, we need to look for peers. Benjamin, when I'm looking for a peer to come and talk to us, to help us come up with a resolution, what should I look out for?
Look for like-minded friends. You know those guys whom you think alike? There are people whom your conversations are very deep. You don't need to come with your wife for me to discuss your issue. You can simply talk with me, Hapa, and I give you advice. I can tell you what I would have done. The good thing with a peer is they don't have the dangerous parental authority. Parental authorities during marriage are very dangerous. Very dangerous. Because they make you stubborn in a certain direction. Because dad said so. Mom said so. Prophetess said so. So now we can't think independently. We are haunted by the ghost of your prophet. And whatever I say must be cross-checked with your mentor. Bramwell, there's no such, there's no awkward feeling like that. When I know you are not an independent mind. You call it prayer and mentorship and mantle. You know, they use strong words.
Yes.
And it's okay. Remember, Bramwell, God, happily, the only mediator between you and God is the Holy Spirit.
They are watching.
You shall have spiritual teachers, but as I told you, don't call anybody dad or mom. Those are permanent terms.
Yeah.
They carry too much weight, and they can sometimes, you may think they have power to curse you or bless you. Call people the right titles. You can call them or coach or pastor or give them the right name. Don't call anybody dad or mom. Especially when you start becoming dad yourself. I want you to have a free space and interfere with too many interests to lead. All right? Women feel very insecure when they know if they ask you, you have to ask elsewhere. They don't feel like you're a leader. You don't trust yourself. Sometimes experiment and make mistakes. Men over-consult because of fear. Insecurity. They fear to fail. Sometimes you have to face life. At some point, Bramwell, you have to face life itself. Do you know why marriages fail? Because marriage requires leadership. And many people sit back and they avoid risk-taking. Leadership means being in front. It's not philosophical. It means attacking the problem as it is. It means anticipating problems and solving them. Any man who leads at home, you will see the responsibility. As he walks on the road, you see it. It's the way he parks the car, the way he removes the obstacle from the road, the way you can tell a man who is responsibly a husband. Those who are escapists, you see the escapism everywhere, irresponsibility everywhere. You see a peacemaker because he has a peace to make at home. And those men are very many, only that they are not loud. The dysfunctional men are loud and they are given more media space. Yeah. Because when a dog bites a man, that's not news. But when a man bites a dog, that's news. When a marriage is happy, that's not news. When it's collapsing, that is news. So sometimes the sad things occupy the TV space, the media space, the social media. But I'm telling you, there are men who are committed to lead family. And they would always tell you that the first thing I want is to make sure me and my wife, we are independent. We can experiment and learn together.
All right. Talking about learning together as we wind up, Benjamin, I want you to talk to that man, talk to that woman whose husband or wife is over-consulting and they hate it. How should they go about it?
Sometimes you can't rebuke them right away because when you came, you realize they had those networks. When they married, for me when I married, I had these guys who were doing life together. And my girl was uncomfortable from the word go that she's thinking I'm mistrusting my own judgment and consulting too much. She would look for an opportune moment when the advice I received failed. When it fails now, you can always tell them, I knew you'd have made a better decision without anybody. But you seem to trust them too much. You are too defensive about them. I wanted to use this opportunity to tell you, how about you try it yourself? If you fail, you will have learned. Rather than copy-pasting somebody's advice on your situation. All right? So it's to be wise, to come indirectly and softly and to show them, to teach them to trust their own judgment by trusting. Tell them, me, I would rather deal with what you think yourself. Let's forget that other person. What do you think? Let's deal with that. Let's do that. If it goes wrong, we'll only learn. We can't get crushed. Yeah. If it's money we have lost, we have learned. So tell them, yeah, I would rather we do this. Let's decide between us. Yeah.
All right, let's decide between us. Thank you guys for watching. That has been our time. Let's meet again next time.